Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. I hope you had a great week. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I certainly am. Political reflections in a sign of the growing friction with Tehran. The Pentagon is asking the White House to send several thousand more troops and additional forces to the Middle East to boost U.S. defenses against Iranian threats. The Pentagon has asked the White House to send several thousand more troops, Patriot anti-missile batteries, warplanes to the Middle East to boost U.S. defenses against Iranian threats. President Trump has given mixed signals to Iran, most recently appealing to Tehran's supreme leader to open direct negotiations with him. The proposed escalation includes an Air Force fighter squadron, several additional warships, and special reconnaissance aircraft to help keep tabs on Iranian forces. The White House announced on May 6 that it was sending the Abraham Lincoln carrier strike force and 4 B-52 bombers to the region, citing growing threats from Iran. I wrote a couple of weeks ago and I said Iran is a geopolitical bleeding edge. I said the level of financial and coercive sanction warfare imposed on them is simply unprecedented. President Trump has been a big proponent of coercive financial and sanction warfare, and its expression vis-a-vis Iran is its apogee. The U.S. aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, shown on May the 8th as part of a group of ships being sent to the Persian Gulf, ratcheting pressure up on Iran. And I said, what we know is this: Iran is at the Hunter S. Thompsonian edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. Of particular concern is Iran's ability to block access or free passage in the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow choke point in the Persian Gulf through which 1/5 of the world's oil shipments pass. And I said Iranians will surely manage to shutter the Straits of Hormuz even after an asymmetric fashion. Press TV, Yemeni drone attack targets jet hangars at Saudi airport. And in that article about Iran, I said if the US thinks that Tehran will just roll over, which appears to be the case, they think they're punch drunk after all that sanction warfare, then they are exhibiting the same deluded ideas that they exhibited a day before the peacock throne got plucked. Iran is a geopolitical bleeding edge. Let's move to the United Kingdom. Theresa May resigned. She announces she'll be stepping down as leader of the Tory party on June the 7th. Her voice broke at the end of her speech as she said she's grateful to have had the opportunity to support the country I love. She's expected to bring her premiership of nearly 3 years to a close. Will remain in number 10 during a leadership election lasting about 6 weeks. Sun Chartist, May resignation pop and poof. We're currently trading at 126.86, up 29 ticks. A YouGov poll for the Times suggested that Boris Johnson was the overwhelming favourite among the 125,000 Tory members to be the next leader. I met Boris Johnson at the High Commissioner's here in Nairobi, and he was incredibly amusing and very erudite, and used this word syncretic. And then I got into a debate with an Indian gentleman talking about syncretism. Speaker Pelosi, the president again stormed out. Another temper tantrum. I pray for the President of the United States. The temper tantrum plays to the theme that Trump is a child in a pram, and it's obviously lighting a fire underneath him. Julian Assange isn't a journalist. He has never been a journalist and will never be one. He published stolen material on behalf of the Kremlin to influence an election. That isn't journalism. And I wrote about this in December 2016. I said, from feeding the hothouse conspiracy frenzy online, a constant state of destabilized perception, timely and judicious doses of WikiLeaks leaks which drained Hillary's bona fides and her time and her turnout and motivated Trump's, what we have witnessed is something remarkable and noteworthy. Jörg Wuttke, one of the most astute and experienced Western observers of China, says Xi got Trump wrong and the Chinese economy is ill-prepared for what comes next. 9th of July, I said tariff wars, who blinks first? I also wrote about how the stock market and the farm economy are President Trump's Achilles heel. But so far he's been smart at massaging and strumming the markets. I also said in October last year that the incident with the USS Decatur is surely a precursor. Yesterday I did a short podcast, have a listen, about how the trade war is now shifting from risk to baseline. This geopolitical contest, this is in October last year, will escalate dangerously. Powerful forces on both sides are driving the world's two strongest countries towards full-fledged confrontation. 31st of December, I said the trajectory of the tariff war is another pivotal curve to keep an eye on in 2019. Now, 10th of December, I wrote about the truce dinner and Trump and how they all broke out into applause, and at the same time, this chief financial officer of Huawei was being interdicted in Canada. And look at this, that guy, Daguet, over there with a really bad comb over, he's being mean to me. And just to reiterate, I think that Trump has actually done a good job in finessing, massaging, and even strumming the markets, especially on a Friday. But ultimately, the baseline, it's a full-on toe-to-toe slugfest, as it were. Yet again, he's predicting a fast trade deal with China. However, I agree with Pinecone Macro that the baseline is that's not going to happen. And in fact, I don't think he's in charge of the decision anymore. It's bipartisan. Let's go to the currency markets, where we had a huge volatile day yesterday where the dollar strengthened enormously and then came off as some profits were booked.